Okay, so again, let's get it. We got a lot of important things to cover, some important ground to cover. And so we're talking about the perfect pressure because of the tremendous pressure that's put on people throughout the society, the pressure to be perfect, which is impossible to be perfect. You know, no one or everybody or no one is going to do everything right. So being perfect does not exist, you know, but what is right is basically what is in the eye of the beholder about what is right or what is wrong. It just depends on who's looking and what standpoint they coming from. All right. So there's no universal perfect, although there are some agreed upon standards that are accepted among many pertaining to various things. But even that is very changeable because people get moody and based on their different opinions and where they are for the day. So the key is to strive for your own satisfaction and fulfillment of your own creative level of attainment. Okay, but that doesn't mean we don't have any agreed upon standards. But let's dig into this. The perfect pressure. Okay, society pretends to have equal and reasonable standards for all people to live by. But at the same time, we witness that there's much ambivalence in society, as much hypocrisy, and as much contradiction when it comes to certain standards with certain groups of people, different standards for genders, etc. And so it could be very confusing to people. And it can stifle people's natural creative expressions. And it could also guilt people into living up to artificial standards. So there's pressure on both sides, both men and women, both boys and girls. And this pressure is applied by both sexes onto themselves and each other. The pressure to be perfect in an imperfect world is never ending. It's an uphill struggle between acceptance and rejection. People try to fit in and be accepted and avoid being rejected by others. And each person participates by also deciding who to accept and who to reject for their own preconditioned reasons. Okay, we getting there. We getting into it. We getting into it. So as men, we're under the perfect pressure to be the hero, right? In fact, not just to be a hero, but to be the superhero. But not just a superhero, the superhero. All right. So we move under the assumption that if in a crisis, if we don't do what society deems to be heroic, then we run the risk of being seen as a coward or a loser. And so the source that could be a source of anxiety and in many cases a source of unhealthy competition. All right, rock with me now. The media's influence contributes to the perfect pressure as well. As you see the superheroes saving the damsel in distress. We know those images that we get bombarded with at a very early age. They shape and mold our desires to be praised. The superhero is the object of the beautiful young woman's affections, and the nerdy, cowardly type gets ignored and humiliated. So we carry these images into adulthood from these, fantastical movies and stories we hear about and see. And we carry these expectations and these images into our relationships and our marriages. And so it's not only the males who are conditioned with these notions, but the females also carry these expectations and fantasies into adulthood and into their relationships and marriages, to marry the hero, to be saved by this knight in shining armor that comes and handles everything, takes all her worries and cares away. But what this can produce is a fear of failure in men. The societal conditioned male ego is constructed in a way that failure is dreaded, and the idea of it is very daunting to the point that it could be paralyzing in many males. And then you got the perfect pressure that is represented, by the over masculine male, or the one who is overreaching, I should say, and start becoming a bully. And out of his fear of falling short, he overcompensates, becomes toxic in his expression of competitive valor. Therefore, those who express the syndrome, which I'm talking about the superhero syndrome, usually are at two extremes. Some do nothing and some do too much. So the underachievers can become jealous, envious, and resentful of the overachievers. And the overachievers can become arrogant, judgmental bullies. Both can engage in self-abuse by using drugs or performance-enhancing or self-medicating drugs to attempt to ease the anxiety, depression, and the pressure from the outside. And in extreme cases, suicide can be the result. But I want to be a superhero. There's nothing wrong with me wanting to be a superhero, is it? Why can't I be a superhero? Almost every boy grows up fantasizing about being a superhero, being the best and the greatest at whatever we're called to do. Whatever task, we want to get praised for the result. We want to be successful and get celebrated. First from our parents, then our peers, then eventually our mates, our wives, our partners, and our children. We want to be admired, looked up to, honored, and celebrated as the one who can do it all and do it the best and save the day. And we compete against one another to receive that reward. We all desire it, although many learn to deny it and pretend it is not there. But we often, we live it vicariously through the athletes and the entertainers that we watch on television. That's why these superhero movies and the sports are so popular in society. Because deep down inside, every male wants to be that hero. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's natural. But see, sometimes we might cover it up with the fake humility or an air of higher moral authority and spiritual evolution, meaning we pretend that we don't want to get the laurels, that we don't want to get the praise, that we don't want to win and be the hero or the superhero. Okay? But in some way or another, our ego seeks out a way to feel like it's better than other males or even the best. You see, so if I have a certain type of syndrome that I will talk about a little later, if I have a certain type of syndrome that makes me hide and make excuses, I'm still trying to make myself feel superior because I'm saying, I'm above those silly low-life antics of the brutes that are competing for everything. But secretly, I desire to be the hero. So the syndrome is rooted in the ego's need to be approved of, accepted, admired, praised, and loved. It's a natural need, though. But the society helps to corrupt it into an exaggerated desire to be ego-stroked to the point of self-delusion and exaggerated self-importance. Okay? Just think about society. Think about your own experience. Think about things that you observe going on in the media. It's done by putting so much pressure on males to always win, to always be right, and to have all the answers and the solutions to problems. So, even if the man has no answers, no solutions, and has no ability to win on a particular occasion, he learns to pretend like he does or like he doesn't care. So he pretends like he does have the answers when he doesn't, or pretends like he doesn't care. And he may even attempt to stifle and undermine others who may really have the answers and solutions, especially if these others that may have some answers and solutions are the women or are the children. But this is not the behavior of every man, but of many men who suffer from what I call the superhero syndrome. All right, so at this point, we're just going to take a deep breath. And we're going to read this freedom statement of relief. I don't have to be right all the time. And just repeat this to yourself. I don't have to be right all the time. I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to be the smartest, the best, the bravest, the strongest. I don't need to have the most money, the most beautiful woman or women. I don't need to be the best dressed. I just need to be the best me that I can be. And even if I fall short of that, that is okay. I am allowed to have flaws. I'm still loved enough. And I'm still loved even though I am not perfect. In fact, My imperfections are part of my uniqueness and my greatness. Ashe. So we had to take a deep breath because we're about to get into something a little bit controversial. So here we go. Oh, man, I'm about to step in some water right now. The male ego-based God concept. Let me just say that I am not trying to bring this up for the purpose of debating religion. You believe what you want to believe. But as a very conscientious person, I have the right to examine and observing what I feel leads to the superhero syndrome. And a big part, what contributes to that, is the male ego-based God concept. Let's look at it. The male ego-based God concept. Okay. So the mainstream predominant God concept is male-centered with much ego-sounding ideas, whether found in the holy books like the Bible, Quran, or Torah, or not. These ideas still permeate through society. So it don't matter if you are religious or you don't go to church, mosque, or whatever. The ideas of the male ego-based God concept permeate the society. They influence our thinking. And so I'm not talking about those who get deep into the esoteric meaning of things when it comes to religions and religious books, because when you get into the esoteric meaning of things, you know, there's a deeper understanding. But I'm talking about what the mainstream gets as far as religious interpretations and religious ideas and connotations, things floating on the surface. These ideas permeate society and influence people's opinions and behaviors. For example, God or Allah is the ultimate father figure. And I'm talking about whether your God is a white man or a black man. He's perfect, all powerful, all wise, and ever present. Now, in Christianity, God the Father has one begotten Son named Jesus, who is also perfect, all powerful, and all wise and everywhere. In Islam, the Father Allah sends a male prophet, Muhammad, to present God's message. And the angels of both religions are most, if not all, males. So then when we get into the scripts or the scriptures they put forth a standard of character and behavior that males are urged to live up to. Yeah, and females are too, but we're talking about males today. Even though no one on the planet today has had a living example of any of these gods and prophets and angels that are talked about within the scripts, people still have the pressure on them to live up to those type of characters. Although some would argue that their contemporary teachers and prophets and messengers do provide the examples. But we know that within all these spiritual houses, you'll find most of the men falling short of the glory of God, quote unquote, due to their quote unquote sinful nature. Therefore, they have to request forgiveness for it. And then there's a pressure that people within these congregations put on each other by judging and condemning and gossiping one another as they observe one another fall short of the glory of God, as they say. However, it's a little back door carved out to escape a little bit of the pressure. If you acknowledge that you have a sinful nature and that you can never be as perfect as these gods. Yet and still the pressure is still on you because you have guilt and fear about what's going to happen to you after you die. You're going to heaven or hell based on your behavior. And many of us know how difficult it is to transform behaviors and negative conditionings that we've been harboring our whole lives. No matter how much you pray, how much you kneel at the altar and ask God for forgiveness, these conditionings, these habits, these behaviors plague you year after year. And you feel, and if you're under the religious umbrella of the teachings and expectations, it carries a certain guilt with it. And then you may tend to project that guilt on other people. Because man has made God in his image and likeness and has convinced most that God made man in his image and likeness. So man has developed an idea of what he thinks God is in his mind and what he would like God to be. So in his imagination, out of the male's imagination, and out of what the male would like God to be, out of his image and likeness. So you got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Look at all them men. Where are the women? Where is the her? Where is she? The male, God made man in his image and likeness, but in whose image and likeness was the woman made? Oh, she was formed from man's rib, right? Silliness. But where is she? Huh? What happened to her? Where's she at? How arrogant, egotistical, and delusional we got to be as men to want to take all the credit for all this creation in our spiritual texts. When we all enter the world through a woman's womb, but right in the holy books, that woman comes from man. Very interesting. All the evidence in the world points to man coming at least through a woman. No evidence whatsoever pointing to a woman coming from a man's rib. What type of games we playing with ourselves here? Males have the seed, females have the egg. Both are equally involved in the origin. What type of egotistical, male chauvinistic maniac would try to diminish the value and significance of half the reason we are here, the woman? And we wonder why some men are so stressed out. We wonder why we under this pressure to be perfect, thinking that males are responsible for everything. The sustainer, the creator, the protector, the provider. The males do everything. You do everything. But we know in real life, it ain't like that. Why we want to follow a system that makes us believe that it should be like that? It's totally unrealistic. We put too much damn pressure on ourselves as men. And the pressure is based on ego-based nonsense. Ego-based nonsense. So, this is a quote. Across the world, women tend to live longer than men, said Brandon Yan, a resident physician at the UCSF School of Medicine and a research collaborator at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, who is the lead author of the study. Both institutions collaborated in the research. The life expectancy of men in the United States is nearly 6 years shorter than that of women, according to new research published in JAMA Internal Medicine. I'm not saying what the reason is, but I'm saying it could be a very contributing factor, a very big contributing factor, that more stress, mental stress, the stress of more expectations, men trying to be the man, be the one, be the savior, be the hero, when it is supposed to be a shared responsibility. And in fact, it is in real life, but we got people fantasizing about this male savior. He's the source of providence and protection. But It'll blame the evil in the world on the woman, Eve, the temptress. Okay? But like I said, I'm not trying to debate religion, but it's looking at what could be the psychological effect on the subconscious minds of the people when we're taking in these things as truth. So the male-centered religion puts pressure on the males to be the go-between earth and heaven. You know, look at the Pope. You got to go through him to get to God. Or to be the messenger and the prophets, you know, that lead humanity into salvation. Where the women representations at? Ain't she responsible for any of this? God is fantasizing as men about being the savior, which is the same as the superhero. It's the same shit. Then you got God being a jealous God. More male ego shit. Praise the male God and his son and prophet and angels. Worship no others besides him or receive wrath and chastisement. So you know man created this idea because when males exercise these characteristics of jealousy and praise me and no one else, we call it narcissism, right? But yet you praise and celebrate God for being jealous? Who put this nonsense together? Who put this nonsense together? This whole thing is a damn setup to be under the perfect pressure, the pressure to be perfect. All ego-driven desires. That's what it is. To be praised, to be worshiped, to be followed, to be admired, to be looked up to be loved and adored. Again, these things are natural, but they've been perverted by society. And you hear people say, you know, especially women, the male ego is so fragile. Well, everybody's ego is fragile, really. It don't matter gender, but you know, we talking about the male ego right now, and it's so fragile because it's based in delusion, in the need to get validated and praised by that which is outside of themselves, by others outside of themselves. And to a degree, it's a healthy thing. It's a necessary thing to be approved of and to be adored and admired. But it gets out of control when you become too absorbed in the need to be ego stroked at an expense of becoming delusional, where now you think you're over important or more important than you really are, when you need to really at sometimes just sit down, shut up, and learn something, or yield, or acknowledge, you know, when it's someone else's turn. Don't try to have all the power. Don't try to be in control of everything, because you're going to wear yourself out. You're going to exhaust yourself. It's too much pressure. Stop deluding yourself. That wasn't how it was meant to be. Again, freedom, statement of relief. We need some relief from this pressure. Repeat after me to yourself or out loud. I don't have to be right all the time. I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to be the smartest, the best, the bravest, the strongest. I don't need to have the most money, the most beautiful woman or women. I don't need to be best dressed. I just need to be the best me that I can be. And even if I fall short of that, that is okay. I am allowed to have flaws. I am still loved, even though I am not perfect. In fact, my imperfections are part of my uniqueness and my greatness. Ashe. So we're gonna go a little further into this. Realism versus fantasy. So some pressure is good for challenging people to grow in character and wisdom. Okay. So I'm not saying that all pressure is bad. Some pressure is good, and pressure in life is necessary. And the pressure in life is not going to go away. So I'm not saying there should be no pressure, but some pressure is just unnatural and ridiculous that we put on ourselves. But nonetheless, life is naturally going to put pressure on us to grow in character and in wisdom, to evolve and grow beyond the beast-like nature that needs refinement. Okay. So life is going to put pressure on us to evolve beyond the beast-like nature, beyond our animal nature, and use higher reason, higher understanding, compassion, love, abstract thinking, to see beyond what's right in front of our faces and look a little further and be more circumspective. We can't do that if we're controlled by the inner beast. We got to tame that animal. So religion, spiritual, and cultural systems have been created for that reason, so humans can learn and grow from the wisdom accumulated throughout the annals of time. When man and woman has aspired to be God-like, societies and civilizations have achieved great feats of unity, cooperation, and technological advancements. But the most important advancements to be made, however, are in the areas of character development. The more people who have high character, the more developed a civilization and society will become, and the longer it will be sustained. The emphasis has to be on the part of being that functions beyond the animal and the ego parts of the brain and personality. Complete spiritual systems were formulated over time that achieved that end, or at least attempted to move in that direction. Why? Because there's something great and powerful, and very awesome within all of us. And we can feel it and we can sense it. We know deep inside of ourselves that we should be able to do the things that the movies and the animated films make us fantasize about. Yeah, we feel inside. And if we didn't have that potential, we wouldn't even be drawn to that type of entertainment. When we know that these superheroes, when you get my book and read it, I break down just the various different superhero traditions and characters from all over the world, the myths that inspire humanity to go beyond the basic nature and evolve into what they call supernatural, which is really just what you do when you tame the animal within. That energy is now conserved and transmuted into higher activity, where now you have greater abilities. But we feel cut off from that, from our greatness in many ways. And there's reasons for that. Our ability to even just effectively deal with the mundane, everyday things of life becomes compromised if we don't understand how to tame the animal within and awaken your inner hero, or Heru, the will. One of the reasons for that is because life in today's society has cut us off from the holistic self-cultivation systems that would wake up certain aspects of our being that could express these powers and abilities of the superhero, turning most of these possibilities into improbabilities due to lack of training and access to the knowledge, time, and resources required for such attainments. This creates unnatural pressure that fosters spiritual, psychological imbalances within individuals. And as a result, you have pressure that can either burst pipes, or that same pressure can create diamonds. Carbon is an element that, when subjected to pressure conditions and extreme temperatures, becomes a diamond. Water pipes burst because the water inside them expands as it gets close to freezing. And this causes an increase in pressure inside the pipe. When the pressure gets too high for the pipe to contain it, it ruptures. Think metaphorically now. These are analogies here. When surrounded by unnatural conditions, see, too much pressure can also crush you, not just make you burst, but also crush you when surrounded by unnatural conditions. The deeper you go into the ocean of life, the more pressure pressing in on you could crush you. Well, literally, the deeper you go into the ocean, you could get crushed. This image here is the image of the submarine that got crushed right over a year ago, not too long ago, the Titan. Either that's the image of it or an image depicting it. And when you're unprepared and not built for the pressure of life or the ocean, metaphorically, your structural integrity becomes weak. Structural integrity is your character. The ocean is life. So here's some unnatural conditions and stress contributors that can crush you or make you burst. The constant rat race to pay bills. Constant worry about finances. Untimely, tragic deaths of loved ones. Constant bombardment of negative news events. Breathing in atmospheric toxins. Poor dietary habits. Neglected communities. Struggle to fit in and keep up with the social trends. Addiction. Sedentary lifestyles. Gender struggles and wars. Constant competition within all aspects of society, like business, workforce, relationships, school, etc. Health issues, crime and violence, unjust oppressive conditions, racism, environmental racism, unresolved trauma, the changing economy, peer pressure, public scrutiny. Man, we need some relief. Woo! So physicists explain how Titan's catastrophic implosion, that submarine that imploded, I guess it was, they said it was rich, like these billionaires that were exploring. I forgot what they said they was looking for in the ocean, and their submarine got crushed by the pressure. It was an implosion instead of an explosion. The submersible Titan that recently garnered much of the world's attention experienced a catastrophic implosion, according to the U.S. Coast Guard. Northeastern Global News reached out to Arun Bansal, University distinguished professor of physics at Northeastern, to provide a basic overview of the physics involved and the violent consequences associated with it. Quite simply, an implosion is the opposite of an explosion. An implosion, the force acts outward. But in an implosion, the force acts inward. When a submersible is deep in the ocean, it experiences the force on its surface due to water pressure. When this force becomes larger than the force hull can withstand, the vessel implodes violently. Think metaphorically. You are the submersible. The force hull of the submersible is your character. See, the force hull is the container of the vessel that is built with a certain structural strength to withstand pressure coming in on it from the outside, from the water. So your force hull is your character that has to be built a certain way so that the pressure of life won't crush you. Your character is your structural integrity. The ocean or water pressure is your daily life experience and challenges. Implosions, like explosions, are very violent. Okay, so you think an explosion, someone committing violence to someone else. An implosion, someone committing violence on themselves. And it can be various ways. It don't just mean hanging yourself, shooting yourself. It could be drugs. It could be eating. It could be a slow suicide from pressure because you didn't pivot and process the pressure properly. Huh? Pivot to process the pressure properly. Pivot to process the pressure properly. You pivot from one mindset, one mind state into another, one emotional state into another. That's how you pivot. But sometimes you need assistance pivoting through training. Every male from age 0 to the grave need to be a part of a brotherhood that undergoes training in some form of fashion to keep developing character and to keep healing and restoring and re-energizing and refueling and teaching and elevating one's manhood. All your life, not just some measly rites of passage that you go through for a year. No, life is full of rites of passage. In fact, life itself is a passage. You're born and then you pass through life until you're out of here. So your whole life is a rites of passage. Then you got certain nodal points where you want to put extra emphasis on to make sure you get the lessons. But these things need to be organized by a community that is working in unity and in cooperation with itself. Because the whole breaks apart under the huge external pressure and large amounts of energy is released. The key is the design of the hull, the character that protects the vessel, you, against the large external water pressure that is trying to crush the hull. Much of the existing technology is based on steel, titanium, and aluminum. The performance of these materials under extreme pressure or extreme stress is well understood. However, the Titan's hull had an experimental design. I mean, it was a new jack. It was new. It wasn't no veteran. It used mostly carbon fibers, which have the advantage of being lighter than titanium or steel. So Titan could have more space for passengers. So they altered the structure. They took it off its natural or original design that kept it strong. The properties of carbon fibers for deep sea applications are, however, not that well understood. So they were venturing to something new. Not well understood. It can crack and break suddenly. I don't know. Can we call that America? Also, Titan had previously gone for deep sea dives a few times, which would have contributed to the fatigue of the hull to make the hull more prone to catastrophic failure. The exhaustion and weakening of your body-mind systems due to unrelenting pressure. You get fatigued, you get exhausted with this constant pressure of life, but you always expect it to be strong, but yet are not equipped with the elements of character within your being to meet the pressure coming in on you from the outside with equal pressure from the inside. That pressure that you got to meet with the outside has to be in the form of knowledge and understanding and wisdom and strategy and certain elements of character, which we will get into. So how do you respond under the pressure? Do you burst? Does the pressure crush you? Do you implode? Or do you allow the pressure to shape you into a diamond? So there's 3 main characters of the superhero syndrome that we're going to focus on. We got the excessive one, also known as the dishonorable cheater, the deficient one, also known as the hiding coward, and the balanced one, known as the authentic hero. The excessive one, the dishonorable cheater, explodes under the pressure. The deficient one, who becomes the hiding coward, implodes under the pressure. And the balanced one, who's the authentic hero, has the structural integrity to meet the pressure. We all have some to some degree. We all have all three to some degree within us. What one will you put attention to and emphasize? So let's look at real quick for the let's look at the excessive one. The excessive one is hell-bent on competition. He lives to compete and is totally self-driven, but not really, because his drive truly is motivated by what he feels people will say about him. So he's focused on the outside and not as much on his inside. Okay, because he's fueled by other people's opinions. He has an unnatural, exaggerated sense of self-importance, an inflated need for ego stroking and approval. He feeds off it and constantly does things to get more praise and accolades because he must keep up appearances. His motivation is to look good in the eyes of everyone and to be the object of admiration and praise, so much so that he may even go to the extreme of using underhanded and dishonorable means to succeed and get ahead. Know anybody like that? Have you been like that? He may become a cheater. And I'm not just talking about cheating on his woman. I'm talking about cheating in life, cheating others, stealing, lying, cutting corners, sneaking around, hiding, just being authentic. Being inauthentic. He's doing too much. And he may suffer from addiction, from performance-enhancing drugs or steroids, from alcohol, porn, other drugs, etc. But then on the opposite extreme is the deficient one, the hiding coward. But he lies to himself too. See, this guy tells himself that he doesn't care about competition. Competition is for the unevolved, he says. He tries to convince himself that he doesn't care about winning, but says he could if he tried. But he just don't feel like trying. That's the excuse guy. See, he's not doing or being enough. Okay? Full of excuses. For the deficient one, the thought of losing and coming under the scrutiny and criticism of others is too daunting. He's afraid of that. So he withdraws from exposure and hides behind self-righteous excuses. He's a coward because he tries to hide from himself. The truth is, he secretly desires to be the hero too, but he cleverly hides this secret from himself and is in a state of denial. He just doesn't have the courage to show his vulnerabilities and imperfections that he fears would be on display if he showed up. He engages in some form of escapism from the anxiety that may arise from the pressure of performing and or the fear of exposure. He may use drugs to numb the pain. He may suffer from depression and self-medicate to deal. Have you seen anyone like that? Have you been like that? You don't got to tell me. You don't got to be honest with me. But do yourself a favor and be honest with yourself. The balanced one. This is the authentic hero. Okay? See, this guy here, he stands between the excessive and the deficient. He's not preoccupied with competing or winning. Oh, no, he loves to win. but is not emotionally crushed if he does not come out on top. Giving his very best is his main priority because he leaves it all on the field. He don't want to have no regrets because he wants to know every day he did his best and he showed up. He doesn't pretend to not care about the game and achieving the victory. He would love to be the best, but is just as proud of himself if he does his best. He loves the idea of being a hero, but is very practical about his own humanity and imperfections. He stands in his imperfections and embraces them, fully aware of his vulnerabilities and is unashamed. You know, these are the strongest men around. The imperfect ones who embrace their imperfections but keep showing up. That's the true hero. Not the one fronting, not the one hiding, the one showing up. He is truly the hero because despite his flaws, he keeps showing up authentically and unapologetically himself. He embraces his growth opportunities and stays alert in his teachable moments. He is powerful enough to be humble. Powerful enough that he can be humble. And he's vulnerable enough to be brave when necessary. Because being brave don't mean you always gonna win. But you showing up, you being vulnerable because you're exposing your heart. And you're putting your heart out there because you care. You give a shit. And you care enough to be brave. Knowing that you can lose. But you don't lose as long as you give it your best. He doesn't feel like he's above reproach. He does not withdraw from scrutiny. So I just talked about the three main characters of the superhero syndrome. I talk about them in this book, and I also in this book, Superhero Syndrome: The Perfect Pressure, give my superhero syndrome story, my personal superhero syndrome story, and what I experienced through the syndrome. But in this book, I also talk about various aspects of manhood that we as men need to be cultivating to have a more fulfilling, complete, healthy manhood experience so that we could be more of a gift to the world, so that we could give more of a contribution of our authentic self. So you accept your own imperfections and flaws, but that don't mean you leave it there. You constantly put yourself under training, a process of refinement and building yourself, your character, your abilities, your skills. It never stops. And then in the other book, Superhero Syndrome Solution, the playbook, I give specific strategies on how to do just that. Certain scenarios in life, run a play. You run these certain plays to help you get the lesson and the blessing out of every opportunity. But you got to open the book. You got to get that book. It's available in physical copy, but it's also available on Kindle. Go to Amazon, get that book. Both books. Because we can have fun with these books, brothers. So what I'm putting together, what I've put together and is still putting together because the work is always in progress. It's something called the 9x9 Manhood Matrix. 9x9x9. And I want the brothers to go through this with me. I want to take the brothers through this and us to journey through this together. Because the vision and the mission is to get every black male from age 0 to 0, meaning before birth and after life, Zero, those two ciphers right there, infinity. And in between the 0 and the 0, when you have life experience, the path, the course, this is a course, meaning a pathway, not just a course that you sit and you study and you reading, but a course that you walk. It's a path. I want us to go through this together. The vision, the mission is to get every male from 0 to 0 in between. A part of a brotherhood, and I'm not saying my brotherhood. I'm not saying all males have to be a part of the same brotherhood. You can have your own brotherhood of your own unique characteristics, but we all will be training and cultivating ourselves as men, and we will all be unified. Every circle will be unified around a common manhood code of ethics, honor, and behavior. That's how we unify, around a code. Your individual brotherhood can take its own unique style, but we got to bridge the gap with the code that we agree to adhere to and enforce, from 0 to 0, from birth to life continuously. Because it ain't death. So we can say from birth to continuation. So the first 9 is the 9 positions of manhood, with the self in the center. The self is you. Then you got the healer, the monk, the builder, the communicator, the warrior soldier, the hunter, leader, student. 9 positions. Now I want to shout out my good brother and mentor, Master Yao Morris. He wrote a book called Awakening the Master Masculine. And he gave his 4 masculine archetypes, some of which I have included here. And then my good brother, Carl Stevens, Rakim Sekou, him and his wife put out a system in their gender harmonics. And Rakim has his 4 masculine archetypes, some of which are here. But then, the ones that I added is the student, the self, the builder, and the communicator. Although the communicator also is similar to Rakim's negotiator, but mine expands a little further. But I also added my own self-style to all of these. And in the training, brothers, you see the 8-pointed star. Those in martial arts understand the dance of the 8 directions. These are also angles that you defend from and that you attack to. You launch your attacks in these angles and you evade with these angles. Everything is on the 8-pointed star in some way or another. You're moving along the lines and the angles. But you're always coming back to center, meaning you stay centered within yourself. Always. So when you're being the healer, you're maintaining your self-identity of who you really are, not your limited personality. Because being a healer is a personality within itself. Then you got the monk, the builder, the communicator, the warrior soldier, hunter, leader, student. We're going to deal with each and every one of these positions one at a time to cultivate each of these positions so that we can have a complete manhood experience and then pass that on to future generations. So the self affirmation is I am, as you see at the center. And the element, this element of flexibility, see, this is one of the 9 elements of movement. That's the second of the 9 by 9 by 9 matrix, the 9 elements of movement. The self being flexibility. Each of these positions, you're going to utilize all 9 elements in each position, but each position has a special element that more so characterizes the function of that position. And self flexibility is at the center. Because when you're flexible, you bend without breaking. You bend and you extend yourself in different directions, but come back to your central starting point. Always being clear in who you really are. Okay. And so I take my self concept comes from another mentor of mine, Raun Nefer Amen. He breaks down that, but I will be going through that through the course, through this pathway. And then the 9 elements of movement and functionality comes from my teacher of 20 years, Shaha Mfundishi Masi, peace be upon him. He gave us the 9 elements of movement. And I expanded it into the 9 elements of functionality. So the 9 elements of movement and functionality, movement talks about the body or the body mind. The functionality talks about the character. How do you use these 9 elements in relationships and in dealing with life? The monk deals with form and structure, the element of form and structure. And here's the monk's affirmation. I am clear about who I am and why I'm here. I seek counsel from the inner realms and absorb the wisdom that always guides me correctly. I humble myself to receive counsel from those who have more experience and wisdom than me in particular areas of concern. I use precise discernment as I travel along my life's path of fulfillment. I am monk. And it's a whole set of processes, procedures, and strategies dealing with this position. You have to have this position in place as a man, and especially if you are a man with a family. But we will get into that as you walk this course with me. The student. The student's element is rhythm, consistency. I seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. I love to learn. I am a student of life and all of the subjects that pertain to me and my optimal existence. I study and learn the best ways to be more effective at my 9 positions of manhood. I am learning. The warrior. The warrior's element is endurance, of course. I am authentic, honest, and open. I hope. I show up authentically. I am honest and open with myself and others. I hold myself accountable to who and what I'm responsible for. I live beyond doubt and fear and face life's challenges with a pure heart and pure intentions. I am warrior. The hunter, whose element is speed. I pursue my goals like a predator in pursuit of prey. I study, observe, and learn my prey's nature, tendencies, habits, strengths, and vulnerabilities. I am always victorious as I pursue, strategize, and set traps, which means to attract my prey. I respect and appreciate my prey for the gifts that it offers upon its capture. I am hunter. Woo! Now, we ain't advocating no type of savage hunting, immoral hunting, but hunting is an essential aspect of manhood, that energy, that focus, the characteristics. Now, no judgment if you out there, you literally hunting animals. I'm not saying I'm judging that at all. But what I'm saying is we are applying the hunter's energy to achieving your goals. So we're going to get into all of these positions. And we're not just going to talk about them. We're going to have certain experiences that help to cultivate and draw these abilities out. The communicator, agility. You got to be agile as a communicator. Why? Because you got different styles of communication, different ways different people communicate is going to be coming at you. You got to be able to respond appropriately. You got to be agile. You can't be rigid. Okay, communication deals with tonality. It deals with body language. Deals with proper word choice. It deals with timing and rhythm. I speak with clarity and precision from a healthy heart space. I listen with the intent to truly understand. I have game, GAME, meaning I am great at moving energy. I am great at managing emotions. I am great at manipulating elementals, and I am great at mastering environments to co-create win-win results through the art and science of communications. I am communicator. Whoo, baby. Oh man, this is fun. The work of manhood, the art and science of manhood is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be enjoying being a man. Not overburdened with stress that you don't know how to deal with. That just means you're not dealing with the enough knowledge, proper knowledge and support. And you're not being creative enough as a man. If you're overwhelmed. Because this journey as a man is supposed to be fun. The healer's element is balance, of course, wholeness. I am a restorer of optimal health, balance, and wholeness within my being. Inner peace, love, and happiness fuel my creative spirit, and my creative spirit enhances my inner peace, love, and happiness. I extend this well-being to those around me who are ready and willing to receive it. I am healer. Woo! The builder, thrivalist, whose element is coordination. I build, I create, I make progress. My life, my knowledge, and my skills are always improving. I am builder. So we gotta, as men, we gotta learn how to build and become proficient at the technologies and the art of building. Different trades. Because there's certain life lessons and certain things that bring out a certain aspect of manhood when you deal with building, constructing something. It ain't even got to be a huge thing. But work with your hands, because working with your hands is working with the mind and body simultaneously. The highest act of creation on this realm, mind-body coordination. That makes you very high. That elevates you. That raises your vibration. But building is not just building physical things. Building means to add on, meaning you're making progress in life. So then you build and construct your life plan, and you monitor the progress by making certain adjustments and measurements towards your goals. I am builder. And then the ninth, the leader, whose element is strength. I hold myself accountable to and responsible for my goals and dreams. It is up to me to create the life that I want. I accept the charge of leadership, which is to take initiative, organize, and work with people, systems, and processes to fulfill our agreed upon mission and purpose. When I make a decision, I am locked in and I don't look back. My word is my bond. Woo! Look at this face. You see how serious and focused he is? The leader. So, like I said, each of these 9 positions will deal with each of the 9 elements of movement, with one particular one being emphasized for each. Okay? So they're balance, which is stability of mind and body, strength, integrity of mind and body, flexibility, versatility of mind and body, speed, clarity of mind and body, agility, gracefulness of mind and body, endurance, sustainability of mind and body, coordination, harmony of mind and body, rhythm, consistency of mind and body, and form and structure. The way your life is formed out of these other, and from the use of these other 8 elements. The way your mind, body, and life becomes formed and structured out of those 9 positions in all the elements. So, what are some things that could get in your way? That gets in our way pertaining to making this progress and pertaining to building your manhood and being part of a strong brotherhood that will edify you as a man. Making comparisons, that can get in the way. It's natural to compare ourselves. Hold on. It is natural to compare ourselves to others to a certain extent, but not in the sense of seeing yourself deficient in comparison to another person in whatever area. It's natural and cultivational and sometimes inspirational to observe and celebrate the variety of individual expressions. That's beautiful. However, when people get into comparing in the sense of better or worse, it could do harm to one's psyche if one harbors a feeling of deficiency in comparison to another. He looks better than me. Why do you say that? Is it his body shape, his facial features, his clothing, his height? What looks better to you in your eyes? And does he really look better? Or should you readjust your vision so you can get a better look at yourself? If you think or feel that someone looks better than you or more appealing, then you may be looking too closely at them and not close enough at yourself. Look at the strongest aspects of yourself, your appearance, your personality. Allow the strong points to inspire you to develop more confidence in your weaker points. And get to work on your weaker points with an attitude of self-appreciation and not self-deprecation. Iron sharpens iron. Become joined on to a group of men that helps to encourage you to do just that. Bang yourself into shape in a loving way. Another thing that gets in the way is procrastination. But procrastination comes about from perfectionism, thinking that you got to be perfect. Again, that's that perfect pressure, the pressure to be perfect. Thinking that, everything got to be in place. Everything has to look a certain way, or you have to just be perfect in order to start. Because you're judging and condemning yourself and fearful of being judged and condemned by others. So procrastination becomes one of our biggest enemies. It kills time, it kills opportunities, it kills motivation, it kills drive, it kills spirit, it kills courage, it kills enthusiasm, it kills ideas. Procrastination is born out of resistance, meaning you're resisting your own greatness and you're resisting your experience. You're resisting the now. You're resisting the present. And you're in the future in your mind anticipating how something is, how bad it may be. But we all know that once we do something we've been putting off, when we finally do it, it's nowhere near as bad as we imagined it. Because we were in mental resistance. Outer resistance versus inner resistance. Outer physical resistance makes your body stronger, like when you're lifting weights. But when you have inner mental resistance, it makes your mind weaker. Meaning, if you're resisting something that you don't want to do, it means you're paying attention to that. And whatever you put your attention to grows. Okay? So if you don't want to do something, you need to focus on something else and allow that experience to come through that other thing instead of putting your resistance or your attention on the thing that you don't want. It'll just cause more procrastination. False, insincere declarations lead to procrastination. Overcommitting verbally. You can have an intention within yourself, but when you overcommit to something verbally, but you're not really sincere about it, it could lead to procrastination because you put too much pressure on yourself. And one thing to think about is tomorrow will come. And how will you feel tomorrow if you put that thing off today? And in the Matrix, the Oracle, she said, Neo, he's the one. But what is he waiting for? His next life? And in closing, winding down now, understanding and acceptance, the lack of understanding and acceptance can get in your way. Being clear about where you are currently, where your level of activation is very important. your current abilities, your behavior patterns, your habits, your talents, your tendencies, your thinking patterns, your emotional content, your instinctual responses, your physical limitations, etc., equals your current level of activation. Understand and accept where you are and where your current level of activation is. Know where you want to be in your activation levels and what you want to be, do, and have. And learn, know, and understand and accept what you have to do in order to become activated at the levels that you want. And in order to become activated, all you have to do is keep showing up. You don't have to be perfect, and nothing has to be perfect. Just do your best. Give your best offering. What you offer the world is needed by someone, and maybe even many. In your fatherhood, you don't have to be perfect. Constantly strive for improvement, but be present. That's the most valuable contribution. Forgive yourself. But this being present thing, and I'm not saying just be there like a lump on a log. Be present emotionally, mentally, consciously, energetically. Be there. Forgive yourself, because that can get in your way if you don't forgive yourself of any, past mistakes or things that you were judging yourself for not doing or doing. Just forgive yourself, because to forgive means to give up the past for a more powerful present and future. Forgive. Don't allow guilt to govern you. And remember, as a man, your worth is more than money. Your worth is more than money. I don't care if nobody tells you that, you must know that. Your worth is more than money. And if you know that and truly feel that, people will respond. But if you think that your value is measured against how much money you have, people are going to respond to you like that. So don't lead with your money, because then it's going to be an expectation all the time. And then you're going to get resentful about that. Lead with your heart and be unapologetic about that. Husbandry, kingship, same thing. You don't have to be perfect. Constantly strive for improvement. Be present. That's the most valuable contribution. Forgive yourself. And don't allow guilt to govern. And don't let her guilt you. Don't allow it. That's poison to your spirit. Reject that. But take responsibility and accountability for what is yours, for your actions, for your dids and your didn'ts. Don't lie to yourself. And remember, you are worth more than money. You have to remember that. And you have to carry it like that. So join us in becoming Heru, a superhero. And let us venture down the pathway, the course of 9x9x9 manhood matrix. And so contact me at my email, thelevelraiser@gmail.com, for a Super Heru discovery call, where you can get more information about this process. And then, I can gauge and see, maybe, we can walk this path one-on-one, or I want to see if we can get enough brothers to do this in a group. It's ideal to do it as a group. So thank you for listening. Ashe.
Ashe. Don't have my hand clappers, but I just clap my hands myself.
Yes, sir.
No doubt.
Yes,
great
sir.
Great bill presentation. I know some people have some questions. If y'all do have some questions, I know we ain't gonna stay here long, because I know it's getting late in the hour right now. But if somebody pop up and they do have something that they want to ask right quick, we will take a few questions if you want to ask a few. This ain't the last time. Like I said, we're gonna continue to build. We're gonna continue to bring about these presentations on manhood. But right now the brother is trying to put together a manhood. And yes, we do as black men, we do need to come together more. There is some people who are part of fraternities. There's some people who are part of different religions and stuff, and they do come together a lot.
That's right.
But then there's people who have been in the movement for a long time, who kind of maybe came in the movement, got hurt, stepped away from the movement, and really almost kind of loners right now, who
right.
don't have any body that they actually hang with or hang around. So it's like, I mean, you need it. You need it as a human. I mean, and even me cracking 50, we getting ready to be half a century old. Man, life will throw so much stuff at you. That's why you here with other people on this earth. That's why you here with other people, men, women, elders. All of these people are supposed to help you and assist you in your journey here while you're here on earth. You meet many different kind of people, and they help and assist because life can get tough. And many of us get thrown so many different scenarios, so many different things happen to, I mean, if you live a full life, I mean, I'm almost 50, but even living to be 50, you watch so much. You watch so much and you watch so many things happen. You watch people being born. You watch people go away and leave this earth, this plane. And if you're not centered, if you don't have brotherhood, if you don't have a strong queen, if you don't have a strong king or whatever, I mean, it could get tough for either force, the male or the female. But just talk about the whole brotherhood thing. We need brotherhood.
Yeah,
we need brotherhood in our community. Brothers, I know we've been taught to just be rough and tough. But sometimes you got to cry. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And I know it's awkward to cry in front of another brother, but sometimes, man, those emotions are there. You did it when you came into this world, you know what I mean, as a baby, you know what I mean? You would laugh, you would cry when you didn't really know how to control them per se, per se, but you would, and then at some point, I know we get to I'm not saying men supposed to be going around like sniffling and crying all the time. I'm not saying that. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying there is sometimes, man, emotions, and if you keep them bottled up, like you said, you wind up imploding. You can wind up imploding in yourself, and imploding is, heart attacks. Also, you know what I'm saying? Imploding is strokes, aneurysms, and things of that nature. You know what I mean? Or other diseases that actually happen. So yes, we do need manhoods. So interested in what the brother's saying, we're gonna be working together with a lot of this stuff. We already do Mayat Temple of Elevation. So yeah, man. I mean, we appreciate y'all for joining us here tonight. Let me ask you a question. Why you talk about, like don't strive. I mean, like the perfect pressure or whatever. At any point, should a man? I mean, I know you said you strive to be the best person that you can be. And at any point, should you put pressure on yourself to perfect, like just different things in general, like because it's like anything, I guess, anything that you do in life, cooking.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely strive for mastery. You want to be masterful. You know what I'm saying? So, but what I'm talking about, the perfect thing is sometimes this perfectionism thing, when sometimes we think we gotta be perfect in order to show up. We might be embarrassed if we're not perfect. Just think of a man who like doesn't come around his children because he never has any money.
Right.
Because he feels ashamed.
Or he got an addiction problem.
Yeah, he got issues. And
That's
so
what Jay-Z talked about.
To come around his children. So if he would have just been authentic and be present around them and in all his flaws, at least they could experience their father. But now, since he didn't, they form their own story in their mind. Well, daddy didn't love me.
Yeah,
Daddy didn't care
yeah.
about me.
Well, if
You know,
you
because he
hear
was waiting to get perfect before he showed up.
right,
You
if
see?
you hear that's what Jay-Z actually went through. You hear some of his early songs, he be talking about, you know what I mean, talking about his dad and talking about, you know what I mean, like basically, you know, F that dude, you know, he wasn't there. And then you hear him like later on in life in the 444, and you know, he actually, I think, you know, witnessed his dad witnessed his brother die and pass away, which messed him up so much that, you know, he wound up getting on drugs real bad. So he was so ashamed to be around them. And it wasn't until I think the latter years that he actually came around and told him that story. And Jay-Z understood. You know, he understood after a while, you know what I mean? Like, oh, okay. You know, so a lot of times when people are not there, it is a story. There is a backstory of embarrassment. And I'm too embarrassed. I'm not coming around you while I'm drinking. I'm not coming around you while I'm high, or I got these different addictions. So yeah.
And that don't mean stay in your flaws. That means you constantly trying to improve yourself.
Right.
Constantly trying to get better, but don't wait to be perfect.
Right.
Because that ain't never gonna happen.
Right. I mean, and that's what a lot of stuff too. You know what I mean? Even honestly, like, I mean, in so many different aspects of life, you know, even if you suffering from skin disease or stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Like you make, you know what I mean, or even gaining weight. Oh man, you know what I'm saying? You gain weight and you go right, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, man, I ain't going over there because I don't feel like hearing people say, oh my God, man, you didn't gain, you know what I mean? You didn't gain such, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times that'll keep, you know, you from going around people and wanting to be around people.
That has been a big part of my superhero syndrome. You know, see, I have a personal superhero syndrome story. Everybody does. You know, gaining weight has been a part of mine. It's been a lot of things that I wouldn't show up to because I was ashamed of the weight that I gained. I just was disgusted, you know, because I had this ideal in my mind that, you know, I got to have this warrior's physique, you know, because I'm supposed to be the warrior. And having excess weight on me represents weakness. This is all in my head.
Oh, bro, but people are very mean spirited.
If people say
people will say, you know what I mean, God damn, what you did ate a whale? I mean, you get a, you know what I mean? Somebody might say, oh my God, I didn't even recognize you. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, you know, and it's like, people say the most and they wait to prey on you. You know what I mean? I mean, there's some people that's sincere who, you know what I mean, who look like, and thinking they mind, but then there's some people who they can't hold it back. Oh yeah, I got a chance to get this in. You know what I'm saying? Like, God damn.
Right. And so you know, see, you can't control what people going to say or what they're going to think, but you can control what you think. So that's why I point out the importance of being the authentic hero, the balanced one. Because look, I'm showing up and I'm vulnerable. I'm authentic. Oh yeah, you know, I gained some weight. Yeah, you know, having some struggles with stepping away from the table. Yeah, you're right. You know, and I accept that. That just is what it is. I'm doing my best. My bad. I'm not perfect. Let's move on. I'm here. What we doing? You see? And so you just gotta, you know, keep showing up because every day is a game.
Right.
It's the game. And you want to leave it all on the field every game. You don't want to look back on your seasons and be like, dang, I didn't give my best on this game and that game, and I didn't show up for this and that because I was all up in my head with stuff.
Yeah.
And it may be stuff that other people help put in your head, but it's you who holding on to it. You can let that shit go.
Yeah.
But part of going through the cultivation process of the 9x9x9 matrix will help you develop and master yourself to a point where you can be proud of as a man to be constantly working on, but yet and still show up in your imperfections. Like I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
So how did the process work with the 9x9? I mean, what are you doing? Do you have sign up? You got somewhere to sign up at, or like how does this work?
Well, I gave out my email address, and they can also sign up at sacredopportunities.com. I think it's a landing page on there. If it's not up yet, we definitely gonna have it up within the next couple of days or so. But yeah, you can sign up on that, and basically I'm gonna start off with a discovery call for each individual to see where they at with their understanding of this 9x9 matrix, and further explain the process and what we're going through and what we're going to go through. The thing is, it's going to be a walk in brotherhood. I don't like to call myself a coach, because I think that phrase and that idea is worn down, it's worn out, and it's not. But there's nothing wrong with it. But this is more like a brotherhood walk that I want to walk with. We can walk together as men. I'm not perfect. I'm not claiming to be perfect. I don't have all the answers, but this is a calling that the Most High Creator and ancestors put in my heart, for my soul to do. And so I'm gonna walk with brothers, and we're gonna walk together, and we're gonna have a adventurous, fun manhood journey. And that's what it's about, man. We got to stop as men, especially black men, looking at manhood as being some type of miserable burden because of the challenge we have with women, with children, with money, with health, and all that. Nah, man, we got to transform this thing to an enjoyable thing. We got to celebrate and appreciate manhood and being men, and we got to do that together. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that together. And I mean, it's a lot in store that I have for brothers that I want us to do together. So I'm really looking forward to interacting with some brothers on this.
No doubt, no doubt. We appreciate it. And family, if you want to support, you can cash app.
Hold on. Look, no, I can relate. No, Curtis, brother Curtis. Put his comment up there.
No, I'm sorry. I went away from the comments. Wait a minute.
Because my aunt said something similar to me. Look, Curtis said, my aunt told me because I gained so much weight, I lost all my handsomeness. People can be so mean. And look, my aunt told me, because I ain't seen her in a long time. This was years ago, though. I had gained this when I was at my biggest. You can call me the original Puff Daddy. That's how puffed I was, minus all the current stuff. Nothing about that. I'm just talking about I was puffy in the face, and I was a lot more puffy than I am now. And she said, wow, I didn't know skin could stretch that far. It was hilarious, but that shit hurt coming from my aunt.
She was how old was she?
I mean, it's my mom's sister, so she's older than my mom.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I think I gained a lot of weight probably in my mid 30s. That's when I was probably my heaviest. Something like that. Mid 30s, between 35 and 40.
Yeah. And it's just crazy, man, because I mean, like you said, people will say stuff, man. They say just crazy stuff to you. You be like, damn, what, the person just said that to me?
But I used to say crazy stuff to people too.
Right.
Before I gained weight. And I've been humbled through this process.
Oh, and my dad did too. My dad used to always be, the weight gain police. You know what I mean? Always saying like, damn, man, you know what I mean? And then, before he passed away, he had gained a little weight. And people started saying it. I remember he came in the house. I was at his house, and he said, man, he saw one of his old girlfriends. I seen her at the store. She was talking about she didn't know who I was. He said, but yeah, I guess I'm getting it back. He did.
I look back on one of my pictures when I was my heaviest. I was really looking other than myself. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah.
And I still got ways to go, man. It's just, it is what it is. But the thing is, I'm gonna keep showing up. I had for the superhero syndrome, I had a mixture of all three. The dishonorable cheater as far as the excessive one, the hiding coward as far as the deficient one, and the balanced one, the authentic hero. It depends on what aspect of life we're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's been times where I hid. It's been times where I cheated. But there's been times when I just was authentic and I was the hero. I embrace all aspects of them, all aspects of that, and take myself through this process of constant refinement.
Definite. And you can never, and never give up. You know what I'm saying? Never give up, always stay at it. Because like you said, even though you may, gain weight or whatever, some people think you're just comfortable in that. Like, yeah, let me gain me a bunch of weight. You know what I'm saying? It don't happen like that, man. You know what I'm saying? And half of the time you do that, you be disgusted. That's just like people who use drugs. You know what I mean? And people get
Right.
off calling them crackhead. Look at that crackhead. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, why do they want to? You know what I'm saying? After, can you imagine the self-esteem of somebody who smokes crack, getting up in the morning? You know how you wake up in the morning, like, man, today I'm getting on this diet. I'm staying on. You know what I mean? I'm doing this. I'm doing that. You know, somebody who may smoke crack, wake up and say the same. You know what I mean? You know what? I gotta stop this, man. I don't know what I'm sleeping in a warehouse, man. Getting up, I'm begging people for money. I ain't got no teeth in my mouth. Can you imagine? You know what I'm saying? Them having grandchildren and children not wanting to go around them because, like, yo, I gotta get myself I got to get my stuff straight. And then they go up and they say, you know what, the day is the day. And then by you know, a couple hours later, they get that fiending thing, and then they go back out and they smoke. Can you imagine them being disgusted about, like, I mean, and this is people on all levels. You know what I'm saying? Some people do alcohol, some people with different drugs and different things in the community, and it's like, you know, so this is all stuff that we got to deal with, but nobody is happy about their imperfections. Nobody's happy about, you know, yeah, boy, you know what I mean? I smoke crack. That's what I do for a living. I love it. you know, and nobody's happy about that, man. Nobody's happy about looking in the mirror and seeing, right, you know what I mean, seeing, you know, certain things in the mirror, man. It can really break you down, you know, but when you deal with, you know, many different things lead people there, you know, but that's why we got to have these strong manhood training and manhood groups that we have that actually come together. So definitely, brother, appreciate your presentation for the night, and we'll continue to go, you know what I mean, put all the links that we need to put up so that people can be able to get this book and to be able to contact you. And let's just continue to move forward. If anybody don't have any other questions, we're going to get up out of here. You got anything that you want to say in closing, brother?
Nah, man, I enjoy my time. You know, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share. You know,
No
hopefully, you know, not hopefully, but we're gonna keep pushing, and you know, we're gonna join on and build our brotherhood, man.
No doubt. Let me just put that up on the screen. We do have Lloyd Strayhorn. I don't even know how clear y'all can see that, coming to town on this Saturday. This Saturday coming up, from 1 to 4 down at TNAT in Baltimore. Y'all want more information, y'all can give me a call, 410-303-4120. I can get you the links. If you want that live stream, you can't come to Baltimore, give us a holler. We be there tomorrow night. Actually, me and Sister Kenda, we're gonna actually do an interview with Brother Lloyd Strayhorn. And we're gonna actually do an interview with him. You know, one last you know, push to get people to come and join us. We're going to be in the building tomorrow night, like 8:30 tomorrow night. So y'all can come join us. But thanks for coming out. We end off with the Harambe's. You know what I mean? We ain't going to do it 7 times, but you know what I mean? Harambe's. Let us all pull together. Let's all pull together, and we will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.